Hey, welcome back. So a few years ago, and I might not be standing in the right place. I think I need to move down a bit further. A few years ago, for fun, I was kind of recreating, re-walking a route that I used to take as a kid, and it was through these huge, I believe they're called rhododendron bushes. So I'll get you a close-up of them. In fact, I'll go in pretty close so you can sort of get an idea. So there's big thick roots and these big broad leaves. I don't think they're quite as broad as they normally are yet. Maybe that's of something in the summer that they'll fully broaden. But anyway, there's these big thick roots, and you can basically essentially walk through. I mean, you might have to like duck under a few branches or roots, or you might have to like step over a few roots, but other than that, it's a nice route to take. And we used to do as kids. We used to go underneath, and we used to climb up a tree, and we used to sort of just hang there and do these, just mess around basically with my brothers. So a few years back, I decided to recover my steps through these woods, and obviously, being a lot older and a bit more clunky, it took me probably about, I suppose, just over 10 minutes to get through. It's not that far, but it's far enough that you have to kind of just be careful along the way and take it slowly. So I filmed the whole thing, and what happened at the end when I kind of came out, I think I'll see if I can find the actual entrance, but because it was far enough away from the road that I felt a little bit unsafe. So let me just walk down a little bit, and I'll tell you what happened when I came out. Is it here? It could be here. So it's very difficult, because coming through from the other direction, the route, it might have been here actually, or it might have been around one of these. Anyway, it was a lot denser than this, and when I came out, I was around about here, about 20, 25 foot maybe from the beginning of it, and as I say, it was very, very dense, and I stopped recording on my phone, and immediately I stopped recording. The whole kind of bushes started to shake. It was as if something was quite tall, and it was grabbing the upper branches and really just racking them about. I couldn't see anyone, but it was just deep enough into it that I wasn't aware, and it kind of got a lot weirder from there on in. So for anyone who doesn't know, I do a bit of paranormal investigating, and I love to do outdoors ones. There's very, very few times I do indoor investigations. So I came out of these woods, out of these bushes, and it was a day like this. It was a beautiful day, sunny. Switched the camera off. The whole canopy started to shake, as if something, maybe 10, very tall, was just grabbing the upper limbs and just throwing them about like crazy. And yeah, it was. I stood there it went on for about 10, 15 seconds, and I kind of thought to myself, like, it's too far to run. But if I'll just have to stand here and, basically see if there's anything in there. Because I was actually scared, and this is Sutton Park in the middle of the day on a Sunday, and I'm actually scared, it might have been a Saturday, but I'm there, sunny day, lots of people walking around. Probably, if I looked very carefully, I could probably see just about people walking along the path through the trees, but obviously, if there was something in there and it meant me harm, then I wouldn't get 5 meters. If it was, something in there, and I don't know what it was, but it just shook like crazy, and it was the most sinister, scary experience I've ever had. And I've been to Cannock Chase at night, and we've heard, things like wood knocks and stuff, which are associated with Bigfoot. And Cannock Chase does have like a weird kind of history about Bigfoot, or the woodworth, as it's called, or the hairy man. But here in the middle of the daytime, I didn't expect that to happen. So anyway, And I thought, well, this will make a little decent video. And so I recorded the last little bit. And so I clicked record again just to say basically what happened. And I posted it to about three different groups on Facebook, and also I saved a copy onto my laptop, and also I double copied that onto onto a what do you call it, the hard drive, onto a hard drive. I think it was like about that back then. I think it was 500 gig. So which I do a lot of the times when I do videos, because you know, it's just a way of basically saving work, saving stuff you've done. And yeah, so about 6 months later, and I don't know, for anyone who doesn't know Facebook, if you're on Facebook groups and you want to have a quick look at maybe a post that you've put up before, you just go into the search in the group and actually just put your name in, and it will throw up the, you know, whatever you posted. Not always in the chronological order, like the latest first, but it will throw up all the posts. And so I went on to like a group, and because I wanted to show somebody, like, I was telling them about the experience, and couldn't find anything. Nothing there. So over the course of the day, I kind of went on to all the different groups that I posted this on, including my own Facebook wall, and it wasn't to be found. So I then thought, well, okay, let's have a look at the file on my laptop. So I went onto my laptop and opened up the file for it. No video in there at all. And similarly, I went onto my hard drive, my external hard drive, and the actual file that I created to put this in wasn't there at all. So the entire thing had disappeared off social media and my laptop and my hard drive, external hard drive. So it's one of those little stories that I have no explanation for, because you can accept, you know, if it's on the Facebook group, somebody might delete it. You can't accept that you delete it off your own Facebook page. So I often wonder whether there was something about that video, because don't forget, well, I'm sort of like crawling through these bushes on my own, and see, this is another route. You can see how high it goes. That's probably about 25 foot up. Yeah, so if you want to get all conspiratorial about it, I do wonder whether there was something in that video. As I'm battling my way through the bushes, I'm essentially looking at where I'm going, because I don't want to poke my eyes out or slam my head into a massive root that's sticking out. You know, getting back to the old, you know, the pessimist looks down, bangs his head, optimist looks up and loses his footing, realist looks forward and adjusts their feet accordingly. So you know, if I wanted to put my conspiratorial head on, I'd say there was maybe something about that video that I never noticed, that has been noticed and it's been removed. I can't say what, you know, because, you know, there is a history of documents and files just disappearing that, you know, maybe shed light on something that we're not meant to see, meant to know about. And Sutton Park is just a park, you know. It's like I said, I've always viewed, if I had to describe paranormally what Sutton Park is, and then describe what Cannock Chase is, I'd say paranormally Sutton Park is the supernatural element, has a supernatural element, and Cannock Chase is stuff other than that. And because, believe you me, there's some weird stuff that goes on at Cannock Chase that seems very, very real when you're up there. I've had some spooky stuff in Sutton Park, as I will show you in a bit. But Cannock Chase is a different kettle of fish. But this was one weird event that actually, you know, gave me that sort of Venn diagram kind of overlap between the two, to say that, you know, maybe I mean, you know, people come to Sutton Park, they walk the dog, they have a little picnic, they, you know, have maybe like a little bit of a game of something, you know, where it's nice, but you know, to actually nobody really kind of looks closely at the, you know, the deep woods here, and they're ancient woods as well. You know, they're not sort of a lot of Cannock Chase has been replanted as Scotch pines, but there is some ancient wood at Cannock Chase, and if I post this onto my you know, Paranormal channel, you know, this will be me signalling where I'm going next, which is a place called the Stepping Stones on Cannock Chase. And I didn't notice at the time, but back in 2019, in March of 2019, it was the second time I've been to this area, and it was the first entry onto my Facebook group, a new group where I kind of like recruited a lot of different people from, you know, different groups, and some of them have come on, you know, investigations. Some of them have rarely come on investigations, but you know, they all have an interest of some kind in paranormal. But sometimes it's a bit of a long haul to get over here. But yeah, a lot of the times you do get, you know, a turnout of people. Even if it's 4 of you, it's better than nothing. And sometimes 4 is better than, you know, 10 or whatever. But so yeah, the first time I visited the area of Stepping Stones, well, it wasn't actually Stepping Stones, it was a place called Milford Common. And it's at the very far corner. So if you was to diagonally go from Castle Ring to the opposite corner of Cannock Chase, you would be close to Milford Common. And interestingly, there's it's sort of in between 2 ley lines. Milford Common is. It's almost like putting 2 pool cues together in a triangle and then plopping a ball in a little way down, and that's so it sort of intersects, or it's covered by 2 ley lines. One of them's the Albion line. I'm not sure what the other one is, but the other one kind of disappears off down, sort of heading down toward Bristol way. I'm not even sure how far that goes. And I'm not even sure about the concept of ley lines, I'll be honest, because, you know, people say they can measure them with like divining rods and that, but I you know, I'm on the wall about that kind of stuff. But what I do know is we went there in, I think it was in November of 2018, and it was such a weird experience. We had to climb this very high hill, and you're onto a plateau, and when you're on the plateau, it's you know, it was all right. Then we kind of reached these crossroads, and it kind of got a little bit weird. The wind suddenly kicked up. You didn't feel any colder, but you just kind of felt, you know, subconsciously, I suppose, maybe, or consciously, you're kind of thinking, you know, it feels a bit odd now. It feels a bit weird. And yeah, on the way back down, we saw some light anomalies while we were up there. And on the way down, we experienced, right, I mean, I got hit by something. It was like a little black blobby shape, about child size, and it knocked me off my feet. So that was, you know, that was kind of interesting. Just trying to get my bearings now, because there is a route. So anyway, where was I? So yeah, that was November 2018 in the March of 2019. There was about 11 of us this time. So it was quite fun, you know. There's a few people there that never been on any, two that never been on any paranormal investigation, but I love them to bits because they're very much. I mean, the one, the dad was is a maker of Viking furniture. It doesn't get much cooler than that. You know, make beds, you know, Viking furniture. I thought that was really cool. And then his daughter was really, really cool as well. I think she was about 17 at the time. So yeah, we all marched up there. We all marched up the big hill, and we kind of went beyond where we went last time, which was the crossroads, and it was all right. But we started to get weird things. We were picking up weird EMFs from trees, which I found was really, really odd. Getting an EMF from a tree. Now, I don't know whether I'm going the best way here, because I've got my bog sensors out, and something tells me that there may be a little bit of bog afoot very soon, which I don't really want to entertain. Even though I've got my walking boots on, I would rather kind of avoid any imperial entanglements walking across this stuff. So yeah, anyway, there's 11 of us, and we all marched up this hill. We're getting some really weird meter readings. A couple that were with us, husband of one, my friend, they are extremely sceptical about anything paranormal, and the chap was there for his wife, and he kind of wandered off with my friend, and they were taking in a bit of wildlife, a few bats flying about and stuff. Nothing drastic, but they did say at one point he glanced back and he saw a big black shape move across the path. Couldn't figure out what it was, but he felt it, important enough to mention, which for a skeptic is, something that he didn't completely say. Oh yeah, I think the person just walked across the path. He didn't use those words. So yeah. And then, for fun, we tried some wood knocks, and then we just carried on chatting and stuff, and about sort of 3 or 4 minutes later, in a distance from down because when you go to Milford Common, you go up onto a plateau, and for which water goes right out, and then technically, if you went down that plateau, down the other side, you would come out on a path that joins the Punch Bowl car park and the stepping stones. So we sort of went on a bit further, and we heard these wood knocks after about 3 or 4 minutes coming back from that area. So what happened was we didn't really think that much of it. We thought, we all heard it, so that was good. Then we kind of went off a little bit west. A little bit west to the other side of where the plateau was, where it kind of came down. I say plateau, it's not 1,000 foot up or nothing, but it's high enough up that for people like me with dodgy knees, you don't want to kind of scrabble down because you might actually get up it. It was that steep. So we got towards this edge, and it was then that we had this incredible thumping sound. And I can only describe it. You could feel it. It was coming from the forest floor, and to describe it would be to say something like, it sounded like a machine was, or a superhuman being maybe, was slamming something really big and heavy into the forest floor out of anger, like a tree stump or like a boulder or something. And this went on for. It went about 8-9 times, and it was literally vibrating the ground around us. Now, no, there's no seismic activity around there, I don't think, not like up in Dudley. So, and I've heard that seismic activity, I believe, and it's kind of like a boom. It feels like one of the sonic booms, but you can sort of feel the air vibrate. And obviously, for anyone who knows the area, they know that we had an earthquake in Dudley, and I think it was 2000, was it 2002? And it happened quite early in the morning, and yeah, it was a weird experience because all the way over where I lived, you could actually feel it as well. So I mean, I'm sort of like 10 kilometres away, more than that actually. Actually, I think it's about 15 kilometres I am away. But yeah, I could feel it where I was. Everything shook, and so yeah. Okay, so I am just entering these woods, and I'm not on the standard path, so and so far successfully I haven't gone down any boggy holes. Well, I'm still going to watch where I'm going. Oh, and by the way, in the summer I'm going to I will come back and I'm going to retrace my steps through those bushes again. Not right now because I'm a little bit out of shape, and yeah, when you're tired you make mistakes. So that's really nice actually. Someone's put bird boxes on trees. Pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, there's a lot of bird boxes on these trees. That's really nice. So I can't tell you exactly where it was, but I think it was in maybe either, I can't even remember the time, yeah, because I mentioned it to my brother and he said, I know it's a springtime, but I always thought whatever happened in late summer. And see, this is, you know, this is Sutton Park, but there's absolutely nobody about. It's, you know, it's fantastic. I mean, you know you're not going to get attacked by bears or mountain lions or charged by wild boar. So there is, you know, there is a tranquility that you can really sort of embrace. Anyway, back to the story. So it was, I think it was in a clearing through one of these bushes somewhere that we kind of walked out, and we were still behind the bushes, but we had a little dog with us. It was me, myself, two brothers, and one of my friends. And what happened was a little dog ran out to a woman who was in the clearing, and she was looking up at the trees. I can sort of remember she had shortish hair, not blondish, kind of mousy coloured hair, and she had a longish kind of maybe fur coat on, which was a bit strange, but I mean this was the 70s, I guess. And probably like a dress or something, and she was kind of not really sort of what I would consider dressed for being out in the middle of Sutton Park in the middle of bushes. But anyway, you know, you can sort of ignore these things. People dress the way they want to, and it's weird, but a dog ran up to her and wagging its tail, and the moment it got close to her, tail went straight between the legs, and she ran back. She wouldn't leave us. As we kind of, because being kids, you don't think, oh, the dog's scared, let's get out of here. You go for him for a better look. So we kind of like carefully sort of crept to another bush, and we could actually see there was a gentleman stood in front of this lady. And this is going to sound hilarious, but he was wearing, he had dark hair, I believe, but he was wearing a top hat as well. I think he had a moustache. And he was wearing a top hat, a black cape with red, I would probably say some sort of silky red material in a lining. And he was making a sign in front of this woman of an upside down cross. And that was weird. We basically came to our senses and beat a hasty retreat. However, it was probably more of an experience for our poor little collie Cross, which she wouldn't come out from behind a sofa for a few days, except to be sort of marched down the garden to do her business. And you know, she had food, but she was very subdued for a couple of days. It's not like generally, it's not like, I mean, you know, my experience of having a dog, didn't seem like her. And yeah, that was about 1979. It was such a weird, bizarre experience, and it does open your eyes up to, you know, when you step into woods and you kind of get an eerie feeling, you know, you you have to maybe think, well, you know, what else has gone on in these woods to actually give me that eerie feeling. So I'm just going to pause it up there and have a drink.